tiares.
Not as clumsy or random as a blaster.
And thus he is transformed from shy, nerdy guy into triumphant badass. It's not uncommon for this evolution to involve fighting with some sort of flaming phallus. By contrast, Newt Scamander is not the chosen one. He doesn't have some fated cosmic burden that he alone must shoulder. Some have compared Newt with Doctor Who because, well, British, bow tie, and bigger on the inside. But that's really where the similarities end. Newt does harbor a deep inner pain, but his personal struggle doesn't manifest as arrogance.
Oh, a new one!
He's not interested in showing off his power in grand gestures.
So, all of time and space, everything that ever happened or ever will, where do you want to start?
Newt is a humble caregiver who's content with his personal goal, which, let's remember, is writing textbooks. Albeit magical textbooks, but still, that's surprisingly unassuming for a fantasy adventure hero. This means that, unlike Potter, Newt doesn't possess superpowered magic, nor is he plagued with self-doubt about his abilities or his place in the magical world.
Revelio. Well, sit down, Mr. Scamander.
He's a grown-up, already confident in his wizarding skills.
I'm not going to poison you.
Even if he remains uncomfortable around others. And I suspect that this point might be another reason why some critics weren't so fond of this new wizarding protagonist.
Can I help you, sir?
I think there's an argument to be made that Newt exhibits the characteristics of someone on the autism spectrum. He's awkward in social settings, he doesn't like being touched, he feels intense empathy for others, but has trouble connecting to people and making friends, and careful viewers will also notice his aversion to direct eye contact. The film's narrative never confirms this hypothesis one way or the other. Perhaps this is simply how Eddie Redmayne decided to play the character. But whatever the case, it's a testament to both the writing and the acting that Newt's social anxieties are not framed in the stereotypical ways we've come to expect from Hollywood. Characters like this tend to fall into a few specific archetypes. There's the tormented genius, a brilliant but insufferable character who's intelligent to the point of instability or mental illness, which is often framed as the price he must pay for his extraordinary talent. There's the mad scientist, a whimsical or bumbling character whose weird eccentricities are perhaps endearing to a degree,
I'm gonna read your thoughts.
but are also played for comedy. And then there's the Sherlock Holmes archetype, a character possessing such a superhuman IQ
I said, could you pass me a pen?
that it leads to callousness,
What will? About an hour ago.
and the inability, or perhaps unwillingness, to feel sympathy for other people.
Shut up. I understand you were thinking. It's annoying.
But Newt isn't too lost in his own mind or his own eccentricities to care about or empathize with other people. In fact, quite the opposite. His sensitivity is where he excels. Critically, Fantastic Beasts doesn't frame Newt's social anxiety as an obstacle he must ultimately overcome in order to be a true hero. The narrative doesn't require him to toughen up or learn to be more outgoing. Newt doesn't fundamentally have to change his way of being, and the people who become his friends are those who interact and engage with him on his terms.
Come on.
Newt does learn and grow over the course of his adventure, but it's a subtle, more interpersonal growth.
Everybody knows Newt only kept me around because...
He learns to make friends, and he learns to trust them.
Newt, why did you keep me around?
Because I like you. Because you're my friend.
Oh.
And establishing these deep human connections is the core of his character development.
It's been,
Hasn't it?
The ending of Fantastic Beasts is rather anticlimactic compared to most other action fantasy movies, and even compared to most other films in the Harry Potter universe. As expected, there's a final showdown with a powerful and destructive magical force. But even here, Newt's actions are guided by his empathy.
I'm here to help you, Queens. Because I'm not here to hurt you.
Rather than besting his foe in an epic magical duel, Newt approaches the conflict with an eye for de-escalation. Of course, in the end, the malevolent force is vanquished, but it's not done by Newt's hand. Even more surprising, this triumph over evil isn't shown to be a cause for celebration. It is instead framed as a melancholy event. Melancholy because our heroes failed to save the monster. I feel like I might need to say that again. In this movie, defeating the monster is framed as a tragedy because they couldn't save him. A fittingly unconventional conclusion to an unconventional Hollywood fantasy production. It remains to be seen if Warner Brothers has the guts to keep Newt as the protagonist throughout all 5 films in the franchise. For her part, J.K. Rowling has said that Newt will remain the star, at least for the next movie in the series. But within Hollywood, there's no doubt enormous pressure to shift the focus to a character who performs a more traditional and expected type of manhood. The studio has even hinted at demoting Newt's role, and that would be a shame, because we need more movies that center a gentle, empathetic version of heroic masculinity. If you'd like to see more videos related to media and manhood, hop on over to my Patreon page and help fund the Pop Culture Detective Agency.